Hi, I'm John Pierre, and this is our introduction to exercise bands. One of the main exercise pieces of equipment that I use for 100% of my clients or athletes are exercise bands. They're lightweight. I mean, this is something that you can take with you traveling. You could put it in your purse. You could put it in your pocket. When you walk to the park, you can use it. It's not heavy, so it's very lightweight. It's inexpensive. They're not very expensive. They're very functional. Any exercise that you would do at a gym with any of the machines, we can replicate with exercise bands. And they're also safe to use, so you're not having to go into a gym and trying to figure out all this exercise, theory and how to use this machine, and then also maybe dropping a weight on yourself and getting hurt. So they're safe to use. So one of my favorite pieces of exercise equipment are the exercise bands. Okay, so now I want to show you a very easy warm-up. It's obviously very important that you do some sort of warm-up before you begin any exercise program. And it's also good to get warm. So you could wear a jacket or a sweatshirt, or if you're in a warm environment, that's fine. But if it's a little cool, you want to wear something warm, and then we want to do a gentle warm-up. So whatever warm-up you want to do is fine. But one exercise that I'd like you to start practicing, as long as you have good shoulders and you don't have any problems with your shoulder, is we're just going to take our band here. And then watch me first. I'm just going to go and I'm going to put it around my neck. So it just goes around my neck, my head here, and then returns. So notice my right hand is high, and it's staying high. Then my left hand comes high. Notice my right arm drops. So my right arm's high, high, high. Then it drops low. So it looks like this. So Gabe, give that a try nice and slow. Let's do that really slow. It takes a little time to get this. Oh, perfect. Gabe has got it right away. So this is so great for the shoulders, to get those shoulders warmed up a little bit. And generally we want to do maybe 5 of them to the right, 5 to the left. So let's have you face forward, Gabe, so we get a side view here. And just go slow. It doesn't have to be very fast, but just very slow. And now let's switch directions. Now this is a little harder because you were going one direction, and now you got to think a little bit. Perfect. And good. So that's one warm-up exercise that's going to be good for the shoulders. The next thing I'd like you to practice, and you don't need the band for this, so we can actually put our band down, is all we want to do is we're just going to do some arm circles. So we're just going to go circle forward as we walk in place. So we're just going to do about 10 of these, and your height may be this distance. You may be able to go here, but whatever's comfortable for you. So Gabe, go ahead. Let's get 10 of those as you're marching in place, getting that shoulder going. Excellent. Now let's go backwards. So backwards with the arms, and you're still marching in place. We're trying to get that blood flowing, get a little bit of warm up here. And now let's go same thing with the high knees, but let's go open and close this way. And now we're starting to activate that chest a little bit more. So we have the triceps and the chest. We had the shoulder. And good. So that's a nice, easy way to get the blood flowing, to get things pumping a little bit so you don't go into an exercise cold. So let's get started. We're going to start out with our first exercise is going to be the chest press. Now this chest press is basically a push-up. It's just a standing push-up. Now most people can't do push-ups at all, and I'm going to show you a way to train yourself so you eventually will be able to hopefully get to a push-up. So now in our traditional push-ups, I'm going to have Gabe just show a basic push-up. So Gabe, could you just show up a basic push-up? The weight is the load of his body is what he's resisting against. So he's going up and he's going down, up and down. Now most people can't do that at all. So let's do one more. And good, thank you. Now watch this. I'm just going to take my exercise band, and all I'm going to do is put it behind my back, up on my upper back, and I'm going to keep my arms out just like I was doing a push-up. And gently I'm going to press forward, and then watch how I keep my elbows high, and I'm going to return. This is the exact same motion as a push-up. So Gabe, can you show us that, and then I'm going to have you go into a push-up on the floor. So if you notice, he looks like he's in this push-up position. He's going to press out, and very slowly he's going to return. He's doing a push-up right now. Now I just want you to go right into the push-up. He's doing the exact same thing, same motion. It's just now he's on the ground. So now come on back up. So watch that motion he was just doing. Same thing. He's down and up. Now come on up. All the way up, stand up, and then just go right into a standing push-up. Same thing he was doing on the ground, but now the resistance is coming from the bands. Before, the resistance was his body weight here. Now it's the band. So right now you are doing a push-up. So what I want you to do is you're going to bring these bands back, keep these elbows high. You're going to press out, almost lock out, and then you're going to return really, really slow. So if you go 1 1,000, 2 1,000, you're going to go at least 3 back. So 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4. That's perfect. Let's try it again. So 1 1,000, 2, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4. Nice and relaxed. Okay, so let's have Gabe do a push-up from a side view so you can see it a little bit better. So notice this looks just like a chest press with a band, except the weight now is his body weight. That's the resistance. So he's got forward, nice and slow, and he returns. And notice how he keeps those elbows high. He's not dropping them down. So it looks just like a push-up. So go one more. And now let's turn you to your side, Gabe. Perfect. And he keeps those elbows high, feet are about shoulder width apart. So you notice Gabe is in the same position as he was doing a push-up. Feet are about shoulder width apart, and he's keeping completely straight here. And that's it. That's our shoulder exercise for our shoulders, our chest, and our triceps. It's just a standing push-up. Now, one of the main challenges with most gyms is everybody is anterior dominant. They're always doing lots and lots of chest exercises, especially on bench pressing. And they get really dominant in their chest, but they don't work their back muscles enough. And our back muscles are very, very large muscles. And believe it or not, your lats here are part of your core, so they help you with stability. They're important exercise to work on as back exercises. So we're going to do a very simple one, which is a one-arm row. So all I'm going to do is take my exercise band, and I'm going to get into this split stance here. I'm going to stick my left arm out and I'm going to hold the band, and then all I'm going to do is I'm locking out my arm, I'm grabbing the band here. Now watch how I keep my elbow close to my ribs and I'm just pulling back. It's almost just like a row that like this motion here. It's the same thing, but I'm putting one foot forward, grabbing the band. Now my resistance is here and I'm pulling the band back to my chest and then very slowly returning it. Now notice how I keep my elbow in. I'm not putting my elbow high, I'm keeping my elbow low. So it's almost like on a train track here. And many times you've seen at a gym, people will sit on a machine, they'll grab handles and they'll row all the way back and then return. Now we could do that too. If we had somebody holding the band for us, or we had a door attachment, I can have the band here and I'd be able to pull it back against resistance. But since we're doing this on our own, we're just going to be in this position. It's almost like what we call a bow and arrow stance. Arm is locked out, and watch how my palm is facing my body and my elbow is really close to my ribs. So it looks like this. Here and here, elbow is close to my ribs, and I pull straight back. Now notice my palm here is facing my body. It's not, my palm isn't down, it's this way. So we're going to try 10 of those. Now remember, if you want more resistance, you just grab more band so you have less to pull. If I want it easier, I just let it go, and now it's easier. Okay. What we don't want is we don't want a lot of slack in that band. So we want to be able to try to keep it taut here, and then when we return it, we still want that tension on it. We don't want it to go like that. So Gabe, let's give it a try. Let's get 10 of those done. So he's nice and straight, perfect. And he's got that nice little split stance, or what we call bow and arrow stance, whatever's comfortable for you. So he's going to pull back for 2. Now he wants to release really slow. So he's pulling back for 1, 2. His elbow's close, which is nice. And we've got his palm facing his chest, and he returns for at least 3. So he's going to pull for 2, 1 1,000, 2. And he's releasing for 3, 1, 2, and 3. Now notice when he does this, he keeps his elbow close and his wrist is facing in, which is what we want. Now, thank you. Now with these particular bands, remember these are the TheraBand CLX, they have handles in here. So they're hidden handles everywhere you go, they're opening up. So if, say for instance, you didn't have the ability to grab, I can just put my hand inside here and then I can anchor it so it looks like this. So I'm really not grabbing anything. My hand is open, but I've angled it in a way that I can just pull this band back. And this is really a good, it's amazing the way they created this, because people who can't grab or maybe are missing appendage or are hurt, this is an easy way to do it. So that's our one-arm lat row. Okay, so now we're going to go into an important exercise, which is our shoulder press, or many people call it the military press. Now, obviously, if you were using weights, you would have a set of weights here, and all we would be doing is just like if you watch a football game, when somebody scores a touchdown, the referee goes like this, touchdown. So our palms are facing in, and our hands are going up. We're going to do this one at a time, so we're not going to do double, we're going to do one at a time. So this is really easy. All we're going to do is take our band, we're going to grab it about halfway here, and I'm just going to hold it on the side of my chest. Now watch how I grip this. I grip it like this, okay? And all I'm doing is I'm pressing up, and then very gently, I'm coming down. Now you can be in a split stance, or you can be here, shoulder width apart. I'm just pressing up, and then very slowly I'm coming down. This is where you really get this workout, because pressing up isn't as hard as resisting this tension that's coming down. So if I go 1/1000, 2/1000, I want to for sure go at least 3. So 1, 2, 3, preferably 4. Let's give it a try. So elbows are in, and his palm is facing in. That's perfect. Notice he's facing forward. He's not crunching up his neck. And he's going to feel this all in his shoulder here and his triceps here. Now this exercise can obviously be done with a weight, but if you don't have weights, and weights can be dangerous because they can fall on your head. Nice thing about the band is this is much safer, but it's very important to remember you have to release that very slow, and we want to keep that elbow in. Now let's give it a turn. So Gabe's going to turn to the side so you can see what that looks like. So remember, his elbow's in, his palm is facing his ears, and he comes up this way. Now some people have different degrees of flexibility. So sometimes you'll see when you press, some people's arms go out this way. Ideally, we want to work up so it's going straight up over our head, but not everybody has that flexibility. But you just do the best you can. Now if he wanted it to be tighter, he would just grab more band and make it much harder. And if he wanted it to be easier, he would just lessen up on the band, and then that's much easier for him. Beautiful job. So that's our one-arm military press. Okay, so let's go into another back exercise, especially for our upper back and shoulders. This is an easy one, and I call this the open and close. So we're going to take our exercise band, and you're going to grab it, and you're going to have to play with the resistance, because remember, the closer my hands are, the more resistance. The wider my hands are, the less resistance, so the easier it is. So I'm going to go about shoulder width apart. I'm locking out my arms, and I'm just very gently just going to open just to about my chest, and super slow I'm going to return. So if I go again 2 seconds here, 1/1000, 2/1000, this is going to be at least 3. So 1/1000, 2/1000, 3, 4/1000. So here it is. And again, I can go into this split stance here if I want to do it this way. Or I can go shoulder width apart if I want to go this way. Now remember, since these TheraBand CLX have handles in them, so I could put my hands inside here if I want, if I didn't have the ability to grip, because some people don't have a good grip, or maybe they have an injury, so I can still go here, or I can go here with my palms down, whatever you want. But here we really get that shoulder in here, and then our upper back, and then I release it really, really slow. Now you might not have these bands, so you may have to grab here, or some bands have handles on them. Okay, so let's give it a try, Gabe. So we have it right here about shoulder height. His arms are locked out, and he's very gently going to open, and he's going to get to about his chest, and then super slow he's going to return. And notice how he's keeping those elbows pretty locked out. There's a tiny micro bend in them. He's opening, and then very slow he's returning. Let's take a look at a side view of that. And you can feel when he's doing this. I mean, you can feel, right? I mean, he's really feeling it here in his shoulders, and especially up here in his upper back, these rhomboids, you can definitely feel it there. And he's doing it nice and controlled. Now, remember when you're doing these activities, you want to be breathing in and breathing out. You don't want to be holding your breath. What tempo or how you want to do it is up to you. But generally, when you're doing the exertion, so here he would be blowing out, and then here he'd be breathing in. Okay, now everyone's different on their breathing method, but this is just one you might want to experiment with. So he's going to blow out now, and now he's going to breathe in. Now some people do it opposite. Some people do it opposite, and that's okay if that's how you want to do it. And good job. So that's our open and close for our upper back and shoulders. Okay, so now we're going to do probably one of the most common exercises done, or that everyone knows, which is a curl. And there's lots of different curl variations. We're going to do a very simple one. So what we first want to do is with our band here, we can open it up. And again, if you don't have one that opens, that's okay. You can just grab it. But with the CLX here, we're going to open it up and we're going to put it across our palm this way, and then we're going to close it just like we're grabbing a weight. And then you have two options. You can open this one up if you want, and then you can put your foot through it. And now I'm stepping on it. So now it's really secure, okay? And I'll show you another variation, but we're going to keep our elbow close in, and notice our palm is up. We don't have our palm in this way. This is a different exercise. Our palm is up, elbow is in, and very, very gently, we're just going to curl up, and we're going to go to about this height here. We don't really need to go all the way over here. We want to go to about here, and then very, very, very slowly we're going to return. So it looks like this, a nice gentle curl for 2, and then we return 1, 2, 3, and preferably 4. And there'll be a little bit of bend in our elbow here. So we go all the way up, and then we go all the way down. Now, if you didn't have the CLX, or you didn't want to, you want to develop your grip more, which is really good to do, you can just grab the band this way, and now you have to get a really tight grip. Okay, and the same thing. Okay, so Gabe, let's give that a try. Now, Gabe this time isn't going to put his foot through there. He's actually going to stand on the band. Now remember, if you want the resistance to be harder, you step closer here. If you want it easier, you leave more slack. So his elbow is in close, his palm is up, and very gently he's going to curl up, and then he's going to return really, really slow. The key thing is returning slow. What you don't want to do with the exercise bands is you don't want to let it snap back. That is something you definitely don't want to do. So it has to be very, very controlled. So he goes 1 1,000, 2 1,000, and then returns 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,004. Let's get a side angle of that. Again, now he can change the resistance by how he steps on the band. His elbow is in close, and notice that his palm is up, which is what we want. And he's going nice and slow and controlled. Again, on your breathing, generally when you curl, you're blowing out. And then on return, you're breathing in. You don't want to hold your breath, but for some reason, some people have opposite breathing. They like to breathe in and then blow out. It's up to you. Generally, the way I teach it, it's almost like in boxing, when you're throwing a boxing punch, whether it's a cross or a jab, you're generally blowing out on the exertion. So it's up to you. But notice how he's got really nice form here. He curls up for 1 1,002, and he returns 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, and 4 would be ideal. So that's our one-arm standing curl. Now, one of the most common questions that I get, especially when I'm working with people who have lost weight, is how do they prevent this from continually kind of flying in the wind? And a lot of people have problems when they lose weight, there's excess skin here. Now, the older you get, the harder it is for that skin to snap back. We've lost some of that elasticity. But if we start working that tricep muscle a little bit and we firm it up, it does help in the appearance of it. So if that's what you're after, this exercise may help with that. But generally, remember, as you get older, we lose that elasticity, and if we've lost a lot of weight, 100 pounds or so, there's going to be some sagging skin. So there's no magic cures. But this is going to be a really fun exercise because this one feels really good. We're going to start out like we did with our open and close for our upper back. We're going to be out here. Then all we're going to do is we're just going to bring the band all the way back here. And this is our starting position. It's very similar to the push-up that we were doing. So we start here, and all we do is open, and we close. But notice how I'm keeping my elbows high. I don't want to do this. That's a different exercise. We're just here and here. Now I can be shoulder width apart, or I can be in that bow and arrow type stance or lunge stance. So here for 2, and then return for 3 or 4. Now remember, the most important thing is once we open, what we don't want to do is we don't want to snap them back. Not only is it dangerous, but the main problem is you're not getting any workout. Because here, when I'm resisting, that's when I'm really getting a good workout, because I'm resisting that band from pulling. So I go 1 1,002, and then 1 1,000, 2 1,000, at least 3, and maybe 4. So Gabe, let's give it a try. So remember, his elbows are here, they're nice and high, and then he's just opening, and then he's closing. And this is really, I mean, I can feel it right here on his triceps. I mean, they are just, these are like rocks now. He's got very strong triceps. And he's just opening and closing. And notice how we're going to count. So 1 1,000, to 1,000, and that return is going to be at least 3, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's get a side angle on that. So notice the elbows are going to be high. So here's his starting position. Elbows are high, and just slowly he's opening, and slowly he's closing. And his triceps are literally like pieces of steel here. I mean, you can just feel them really working. So it's one of the best ones. And you'll get a little shoulder action here too, but you really get those triceps. So he's going 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3 at least, maybe 4. Okay, good job. And that's our triceps open and close. All right, so let's do another tricep exercise. I'd like to have some different variations on the tricep because sometimes a certain activity doesn't feel good for somebody. Sometimes they have a shoulder problem and they don't really do very well with their shoulders up like this. So I'm going to give you a different variation. So remember, this tricep is a 3-headed muscle, and you'll see in lots of different bodybuilding or fitness activities, they talk about hitting different heads of the tricep. We're not really worrying about that. All we're trying to do is just give you a few activities that will stimulate your triceps. We're not here to bodybuild. So we're going to do what's called the tricep kickback. Now, I want to make sure you understand this exercise you don't do with a dumbbell. You don't do with a weight. You do it with a band. It's much more effective for you. So this form just takes a little bit of time to get used to, so I want you to just bear with me for a second and just try to pay attention to the form. So I'm going to be in this split stance here. Okay? My resistance, I'm going to hold my anchor is going to be out here. Okay? And here's the key thing. I want to keep my arm up like this, and then I'm going to grab the band, and then all I'm going to do is watch how I keep this always. Imagine there's a teacup up here. I don't want this to fall down, and I don't want it to go too high. So imagine there's a teacup there. My resistance is here, and all I'm going to do is be pressing back. But notice how this elbow is staying high. What I don't want to do is this, and I don't want to do this. I just want to keep it close to my body, very similar to the row we were doing. So it's kind of locked here and here, and then all I'm doing is pressing back. So notice my band hand here, I could very easily just take the exercise band and I could just easily just go like this, and then I can just press back. Okay? Now if I don't want to do that, I can grab it this way, that's fine. If you have handles, it would be the same thing. So it looks just like this. Here and here. If I want more resistance, I grab more band here, and wow, that's tension. If I want it lighter, I can go here. Okay? So Gabe, let's give that a try. Let's start with the side view. So remember, his elbow is close in. He's leaning forward a little bit. Now notice that teacup is staying here. Now watch when he kicks back, go ahead, this teacup stays balanced there. So it's not going down or not going up. It's perfectly straight here. Okay? And he's giving his resistance there, and you can see his triceps. They're like steel. You can feel them right here. And this is giving him a great resistance. Now if he wanted it to be easier, he can let up on the band. So now he has less resistance. And of course, if he wanted it harder, he could grab more band. But he's got to always maintain this. Now, the problem with using a weight with this is that if you had a weight in your hand now, gravity's pulling the weight down, and there's no resistance, really. It's more of a shoulder. This is way better to use an exercise band here for triceps than using a weight. Way better. And let's give him a forward angle, too, with that one so they can see it. Remember, his elbow is up. He's balancing the teacup. He's holding it out here, and he's in this nice stance. And perfect. So that's our tricep kickback. Okay, so now we're going to show you another tricep exercise. So we have 3 different tricep exercises. This one may or may not feel right for you, so you have to decide. And this is going to be this tricep extension. So if you watch carefully, I'm going to take this exercise band and I'm putting it behind my back, and then I'm going to hold it here. I'm keeping my elbow in, and all I'm doing is I'm pressing up to the sky, and then super slow, I'm returning it. So I'm pressing up to the sky, and then very, very slow, I'm returning it. Now, Gabe, why don't you get in that position, and let's show you from the back. So here and here, some people don't have the flexibility here to do this. So Gabe, you could put your arm lower, so go ahead. So if that's as low as you can go, that's fine. And then if he wants more resistance, he just has to move his hand down more. But this, if you don't have good flexibility, you may be able to still do this. Notice his elbow is going to be in, and he's just gently going to press to the sky, and then super slow he's going to return it. It has to be really, really slow. So he goes all the way up for 2, so 1 1,000, 2 1,000, and then he's going to turn for 2, 3, and 4. So let's give you a front view of that. Some people don't have the flexibility here or here in the shoulder, so this exercise doesn't work for everybody. So it's not mandatory you do this one, but it's just a variation, this tricep extension here. And you can feel it right in his triceps, and you can feel it also in his shoulder. So he goes up for 2, 1 1,002. He returns for 1 1,000, 2 1,003, or 4. One more. And beautiful. Excellent. So that's our tricep extension. So we're going to do a very interesting exercise now. This is an exercise that could be done with an exercise band, but it also could be done with a piece of newspaper, or it could be done with a small towel. And all we're going to do is we're going to take our exercise band and we're going to hold it straight out in front of us. And our job is to just basically crinkle that band into our hand. So we're working our shoulder here, but we're really working our grip here because we're trying to get that band into our hand. Now, the longer the band, the harder it's going to be. This is a shorter band, so I'm just here and here, and I'm just trying to crinkle that into a little bit of a ball. So you're going to feel your shoulder working, but you're definitely going to feel it in your forearm. So Gabe, give it a try because you have a longer band, and his arm is straight out in front of him. And this isn't that easy, especially with a longer band. He'll start feeling it in his forearm. And then once he's able to get one, he's got that, we're going to let it down. So let it drop. And now just put your arm out to the side now. So now he's going to do it to the side. So he's maintaining this shoulder, holding it up the whole time. So he is stimulating his shoulder here. And then, of course, he's working his forearm and his grip at the same time. He's starting to feel it. So he's starting to feel it now. And then he can rest, and now we can switch arms. So now he'll just switch to his other arm, and he'll go forward again. The first time it'll probably be easy, but notice how nice and straight he is here. And the faster you go, the harder it is. And again, if you did not have an exercise band, you can use a piece of newspaper, or you can use a small towel. And then you may need to rest after this, which is fine, but he's very fit, so we're going to let it drop, and then he's going to go out to the side. And again, the shoulder's still being activated because it's still working, because he hasn't let it down yet, so there's muscle activation here, and of course he's working his forearm like crazy here. He's doing a great job here. So this is a great one for the shoulder and forearm. Perfect. So that's our band roll-up for our shoulder and for our grip. So now I'm going to show you a couple different exercises that you can do with a partner, or you can do with what's called a door attachment, where the band actually has a little anchor on it, and it goes inside of a door, and you close the door, and then, wow, then you've got your own training partner right there at the door. But if you don't have a door attachment, there's a way that you can do with a doorknob, which we'll show you. And there's also a way you can do it with a partner. So let's start out with a standing curl. So we're both going to get exercise with our curl. So Gabe is going to face me with shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent. Now he's going to grab the band with both hands, and he's going to have his arms straight out in front of him. Now I'm going to hold the band too with both arms. Now, what I want you to understand is you need to be very careful because you have to have bands that are good. You don't want the bands to ever snap because they can hit you in the face or in the eye. So make sure that you have really good, strong bands and that your partner doesn't let go. So now Gabe and I are both in this position. What Gabe is going to do is he's going to do a curl and keeping his elbows high. You feel that in your core, Gabe? So you notice when Gabe is curling like this, not only are his biceps being activated, but his core is, because his core is trying to prevent him from falling over. So now Gabe is in a shoulder width stance. Let's go into shoulder width stance, which is harder. I'm going to go into the easier one, which is more of an, it's kind of like a lunge position. So I'm going to start out. Gabe's going to hold. I'm going to curl. Notice I keep my elbows high. They're not like this. They're nice and high. I curl. I release really slow, and then it's Gabe's turn. Good, now it's my turn. Now watch how I keep my elbows high. My elbows are high here, and I curl, and then I return really slow. What I'm not doing is this. I'm not keeping them low. This is harder for your core. So it's a much better exercise. I'll go again. I'm here, and then I return really slow. Now it's going to be hard for Gabe because he's in a split stance, or he's in a shoulder width stance, so it's harder for his core. So he's there, he curls, and then he returns. And then it's my turn, so I do the same thing. I'm here, and then here. Now, if I go into this stance, I'm more challenged. This is a little bit harder for my core, and then Gabe goes. Now, the breathing on this one is however you like, but generally for me, the way I teach it is I'm blowing out and then breathing in. What I don't want to do is hold my breath and do it. So I want to go and then breathe in. Okay, so Gabe, give it a couple. I'll let you do a couple. Good. And then he's blowing out and he's in. Good. So now if my partner doesn't want to do the exercise, then all they have to do is hold it. So I'm holding it for Gabe. He's getting the workout here. And then he's returning. Good. And that's our standing bicep curl. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a partner exercise for our back, and this is going to be the one-arm row. So Gabe is going to be in a split stance, so 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, and I'm going to have the same thing. So I have 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Gabe is going to grab the band with his right hand. I'm going to grab the band with my right hand, okay? So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to lock the band here. I'm going to hold it, and Gabe is going to do a one-arm row. He's pulling all the way back, and I'm holding it, and he's going to keep going. So I have to stabilize here, and then he rows. So he'll do between 8 and 10. Now it'll be my turn, so you're going to hold it. And now I'm going to do my row here and here. Now we're going to do one after another. So I'm going to row first, and then Gabe is going to row. So Gabe's going to row, and he's going to come out and lock it, and then I'm going to row, and then I'm going to hold it tight. So we can do it that way also. So it doesn't matter which way you do it. It's just that if I do 10 this way, I get a little bit harder workout than if we rotate back and forth. So Gabe, what I want you to do this time is I want you to just row, and I'm going to hold it for you. So Gabe is keeping his elbow in and his palm is in, which is nice. He's really working his back here, his lats. Now I want you, Gabe, this time to put both feet together this way. Now it's going to be a little bit different feel for him because now it's a little bit awkward with his balance. And now I'm going to make it harder, and Gabe, I'm going to ask you to stand on 1 foot. So Gabe is going to row now standing on 1 foot. So no, it's much, much harder. You can see it's much, much harder for Gabe now because now he's activating everything with his balance, and he's trying to row at the same time. And good. So that's our partner one-arm row. Okay, so now we're going to do an advanced exercise. Now this isn't for everybody, but you can modify it. And this is a type of activity that I do. And when I'm working with Gabe, this is something that I do for all-around conditioning. It's an exercise that I can do just for him. Or if he has, say, for instance, a family member or a friend that wants to do it with him, they can also get a workout too. So with this exercise, we have to use a thicker, stronger band. So we're going to use this darker band here. This is the black band from TheraBand, which is thicker. They also make a gold and a silver. But this black one's going to be fine. I'm going to put this around Gabe's waist. Now all we're going to do for exercise number 1 is I'm going to hold Gabe back. He's going to run in place. And we're going to have him run in place fairly fast. He's going to start out slow, and then he's going to pick it up, and we're going to go for 30 seconds. Now, all I'm going to do is hold him in place. He's not running anywhere except in place. So I'm in a good stance here, and I'm going to hold him in place. So he's running slowly at first. Now I'm getting resistance because this is hard work for me, and he's going to pick up the pace, and he's going to keep breathing. He's just running in place. And normally we go for 30 seconds, but we're just going to have him go a little bit longer and then rest. Good. So what we would do is we'd have Gabe go for 30 seconds, then I'd rest him, and then I have him go again. Now, if we're working with a partner, Gabe would go 30 seconds, and immediately he'd put the band around me, and I would run for 30 seconds. Then I'd immediately put it around him. So he's able to rest 30 seconds. I go for 30. Then he goes. Does that make sense? Because that's very important you understand. You need to have a rest period in there. Now, watch what we're going to do now. Gabe is going to go for 30 seconds. So go ahead and start slow, but I want to get a workout too. So I'm going to be in this split stance, and I'm going to practice my rows. So before we did single rows, now we're doing double rows. Gabe is getting that aerobic workout going, and I'm getting my back worked out and a little bit with my forearms here, and I'm just rowing back and forth. So I'm just pulling and then returning, pulling and then returning, pulling and then returning, okay? Then, okay, good job, Gabe. Then I could switch and run, and then Gabe could do the rows himself. Now, Gabe's going to go back to 30 seconds of running, and this time I'm going to do curls. So remember, my elbows are going to be up. I'm going to curl, and I'm going to return. I'm going to curl, and I'm going to return. So 1, 1,002, 1, 1,002, 1,003. Good. And then rest. Then, of course, I would run, and Gabe would do that. Now, the hardest one we're going to do is those tricep kickbacks. This one, it's sometimes you get mixed up on your form a little bit, so it's not going to be perfect, but you're going to still feel your triceps. So go ahead, Gabe. So instead of me leaning forward like this, I'm going to just kind of stay like this. I'm going to do my kickbacks this way. Now, ideally, I'd probably like to be here, but it's not going to be working in this position, so we're doing a tricep press down instead. So I'm still getting my triceps. He's getting that 30 seconds of running, then he's going to stop, and then we would switch. So this is a way that we can get a circuit in here. Now, the hardest one we're going to do, which it really requires stability, is Gabe is going to go for his runs, but look at me. I'm going to be in the push-up position. Now, one foot has to go forward and one back. Now I'm doing a push-up here, and then I'm returning. I'm doing a push-up, and then I'm returning. Now, I have to be careful because I don't want Gabe to step on my foot, okay, when we do it. Then we would stop, and then I would run, and Gabe would do it. So this way we get 4 different activities in, and you feel it, right? So he feels it, his heart rate's up. If we were doing this for one whole circuit where we did the lat pulls, we did the curls, right? We could do tricep kickbacks, and then the chest press. If each of us did one of those, that would be called one circuit. So we may work 2 or 3 of those circuits. So this could take 7, 10, 15 minutes, depending how fast or slow you do it. Now what we're going to do is one of my favorite activities with the band. This time what Gabe is going to do, he's going to run forward and he's going to run back. He's going to run forward and he's going to run back. Now I have to hold on to him, so this is going to be hard for me. Gabe is only going to take a couple steps forward. So a couple steps forward and a couple steps back. So he's going forward and then he's coming back. Now if I want more of a workout for me, I'm just going to hold it with one hand. That's it. I'm getting a workout here. He's getting a nice workout here. He's just going forward and back. Now notice he's constantly running in place to keep his heart rate up. And good and rest. If he didn't want that big of a workout and he didn't want to get his heart rate up, this time all I want you to do, Gabe, is just run forward and back. So I'm holding him. He's just going to run forward and then he's coming back. So now it's a little bit more gentle. He's running forward and he's running back. So now it's a little easier. Now let's go back to the hard one, Gabe. So he's running in place, then he's running forward, and he's running back. So his heart rate is really going through the roof here because it's non-stop. And good. Now I could have Gabe do that for 30 seconds, and again, it would be my turn to run, so I would go forward and back. Now we're going to do the same thing, but Gabe, you're going to face forward, and we're going to go side to side this time. So Gabe is going to just do 2 shuffles to his left and then 2 shuffles to his right. Now I have to hold him back, so I feel the resistance here. If I want more of a workout, I would hold him with one arm. Now Gabe, go ahead and put a little oomph into it and go a little bit faster. So now he's got a lot more speed going here, and I'm holding him back, so I'm getting a workout. Now Gabe, I want you to run in place and then sidestep. Perfect. So now his heart rate's going through the roof because he's running in place the whole time and he's sidestepping. And this is one that we've done already laterally when we did our jump rope video, if you saw that one. And good. And then, of course, we would switch sides. So that was a great job. So that's our partner band workout going forward and back and side to side. Okay, so now we're going to do an exercise for our legs. This is a lot of fun. We call these monster walks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure it's a thick band, and I'm going to step on that band, and I'm going to be about shoulder width apart. So you see I'm shoulder width apart here. Now I'm going to keep this band here almost like I'm in a curling position, like I'm going to curl it, but I keep my elbows bent. Now all I'm going to do is just lift my right leg, and then I'm going to step to the side, and then left leg and step to the side. And I'm just going to keep moving forward. So I'm going to do about 3 of these forward, and now I'm going to go backwards. But I have to keep the tension on that band or else it's going to slip off. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm feeling a lot of tension here too, so I'm working my arms at the same time. So Gabe, let's give it a try. It takes a little time to get the band on your feet. Make sure you're using a thick band. If you want it to, you could slip your toes through the band here. So you could put your foot actually through the band if you wanted to. It doesn't matter. It's easier if you do that, because if I put my toes through here, then they won't slip out. So watch when Gabe does it. He's got to be really conscious that the band doesn't slip off. So he's just going to do another step forward, and then now he's going to go step back. So this is such a great activity for his legs, especially his glutes here. Just a great exercise, and he's getting his quadriceps at the same time. And he's just going to go forward and back and forward and back. And then he's just going to go back. And you might only last maybe 30 seconds in this, but you'll be able to build up to a minute. It really depends on how thick the band is. So that's our monster walks with the band. Okay, so now we're going to do our partner chest press. And this is going to be a single arm chest press. So this is a much harder exercise, especially for our core. So what Gabe is going to do is he's going to use the particular handles that are already in the CLX band here. So he's going to put his hand inside there, and he's going to face forward. His left leg will be forward. Now, remember when we did our chest press, those elbows are high, so notice how his elbow is high. He's got his left leg forward, his right leg back. He's going to do the same thing we did before. He's just going to do a chest press. But now, since he's only using one arm, his core is going to be really activated. So it's much harder now for his core. So I'm his partner. I'm going to hold the band with two arms. Again, you want to be careful that the band doesn't break or that he doesn't let it go. And what I always recommend, of course, is wearing glasses to protect your eyes. So safety glasses are always a good idea. So now I'm holding the band, and he's going forward, and he's going to return very slow. Now, since I'm his partner, I'm talking to him, and I'm going to say, Gabe, is that enough tension, or would you like more tension?
A little more.
A little bit more tension. So I'm just going to pull back a little bit more. This will be hard now for him. So now he's really activating his chest and his tricep here, but especially his core. That's the main thing. We're really trying to activate his core here because he's going one arm at a time. Now, if he was on a bench and he was bench pressing, he could be doing the same thing, but he would have a weight, but it's still not as functional as here because mostly in life we're standing, we're not laying down on a bench. So this is a very good, what we call functional exercise. And what we would do is we would just do the same count that we had before. So we'd go 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. So go ahead, 1, 1,000, 2. And on the return, it would be 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, and maybe 4. Perfect. So that's our partner one-arm chest press. Okay, so now we're going to work on the core, and many of the exercises we've done already do help the core get stimulated, but this one really activates the core the most. And this is an exercise that we call the Russian twist. So this is one that's really going to activate your whole core, and it's going to activate your legs a little bit and a little bit in your shoulders. So I want you to watch the hand positioning on this. If you have a handle, you can grab a handle, but if you have this particular band, the TheraBand CLX, what I'm going to have Gabe do is I'm going to actually just have him put his hands through the band like this and then grab and cross like this. So Gabe, why don't you face forward, arms completely extended out, and he's going to go right through here and here, and he's going to lock it out. Now, I want him to make sure that he keeps those elbows straight and a tiny, tiny little bend in his elbow, microscopic. I'm going to hold the band here, and he's going to rotate to his left very gently, and super, super slow, he's going to come back because that's where the resistance he's going to feel. So he's rotating there to his left, which is great, and then he's going to return. Okay, and now he can blow out now, and then he can breathe in. Okay, whatever breathing method you like, but just we don't want you to hold your breath. And we want to make sure this angle is coming up from about here so he's getting the right resistance. What I don't want to do is have the resistance back here. Okay, I don't want to have that because he's not feeling it as much as it's going to be out here. So I'm going to give him a little bit more resistance now. He's blowing out, and then he's returning really slow. Okay, so he blows out, and then he returns really slow. Now, we're going to stop, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch positions with him here. And then now he's going to work his other side. So we're here and here. He's got a little slight, tiny microscopic bend in his elbows. And he's finding his rhythm. But here's all this resistance. Notice the angle of the band. You'll feel it when you move around what's easier and what's harder. But what you don't want to do is you don't want this exercise band to be all the way in the back here, because he's not going to feel all that resistance because there it's shut off. But here, it's constantly activating his core. Now this is the hard part right here where he has to fight against it. And perfect. So that is our Russian twist with a partner. Okay, so now we're going to do a very important exercise. Many of you know how to do a plank, and there's a front plank, and then we have side planks. We're going to start out with a front plank. So Gabe is going to get in a plank position, which many of you know how to do already. The challenge with a plank is that once we can get to about 30 seconds, maybe a minute, we really don't need to go beyond there because our core is just working on endurance then. So I personally like to get people to about a minute, and then I bring them back down to maybe 30 seconds where I make the exercise harder. So Gabe is going to get in a forward plank, and what's going to be interesting, he's going to grab the exercise band and he's going to pull it back in that plank position. So Gabe, why don't you go ahead and get in a plank position, just arms straight and locked out. Now watch what I'm going to do is I'm going to be on an angle over here. Gabe is going to grab the band here in this hand, and all he's going to do, he's got to stay stable, he's got to stay square. He's just going to row that band all the way back. So he's rowing all the way back. Now, if Gabe flattens out his pelvis, it's going to be even harder. So now, do you feel that, Gabe? Now it's even harder because now he's in a regular plank or a push-up position, but this is much more advanced because now he's doing a row at the same time as the plank. So he's not going to be able to go a minute here. He's going to maybe go 20 or 30 seconds and then he'll be pooped out. So let's get one more in, and good. Now let's rest, take a rest, and then we're going to switch hands here. So we're going to switch hands here. Same thing. He's nice and straight there. We're going to pull. And now he's going to find his breathing. So generally when he's pulling, he's going to blow out, and then he's going to breathe in. So notice that good position. He looks like he's just in a plank, but now he's doing a plank with a one-arm row. Let's get one more in. And good. And perfect. Good job. So that is our partner plank with a row. Okay, so now we're going to do an important exercise, which is our side plank. And we're going to give you some different variations. We're going to go from a beginner to an intermediate to an advanced. So side planks are really, really a great exercise for your core. One of the challenges is just like a front plank is once we get really good at it and we can go to a minute, then we don't really want to go to a minute and a half and 2 minutes. We want to make it harder. So Gabe, can you come on down? Gabe's going to go into our side plank, and all he's going to do is going to literally get into this position, and he's just going to go up and down. So he's just going to go up and down. And you can rest as long as you want. So Gabe, rest a little bit. He's just resting, and then he's going to come on up. So the fitter you get, the less rest that you'll need. And good, and then stop. Perfect. So you would work for maybe 5 or 10 of those, and that would be one set. Now, the advanced version, or what we would call the intermediate one, is Gabe is just going to go up and he's going to try to hold it. So Gabe is here. Now we're going to have him hold it for maybe 5 or 10 seconds, and then when he's tired, he would come down. And then he would rest. And then his next set, he would go up again. He would go 5 or 10 seconds, and then he rests and rests. And then our goal is to get Gabe to be able to do about 30 seconds of that side plank. Now, once Gabe can get to about 30 seconds, some people want to go longer. I usually like people to go for about 30 seconds. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Gabe go ahead into that position. I'm going to have him lift his leg into the air a little bit, maybe for 1/1002, then put it down, but hold that plank. Up, 1/1002, and hold that plank. 1/1002, and hold that plank and rest. Good job. So that's a little bit more advanced version. Now I'm going to give him probably the most advanced version that I do with people within reason, is Gabe's going to go up, he's going to hold his plank, but he's going to do a one-arm row with the band. So Gabe is going to grab the band, he's going to go hold that plank, and now he's going to row. Now notice how he'll keep his elbow in and his his palm is down. He's keeping his hips nice and high, which is beautiful. Now, if I wanted, and I wanted to join Gabe in this, I could do a plank at the same time, and we can row at the same time. So it's a partner plank. And let's get one more. And notice that nice alignment Gabe has. One more. And done. Beautiful job. So that's our side plank with exercise band.